In this video, let's talk about Canon's updates to the R5C, their new R6 Mark II, and their new flex zoom lenses. All right, real quick, you're watching Video Brand. Special thanks to our sponsors for helping make this NAB coverage possible. We got Metricool, Massive, OpenReel, Vestigit, and Adspective. All right, now back to the video. All right, what's up? We're here at Canon. I'm here with Paul, and we're gonna talk about some new gear. So we got the R6 Mark II here.
Yeah, R6 Mark II. So this is a newer camera in our mirrorless line of cameras. So it's not really in our cinema line, but there's a lot of features that we put into it that kind of make it more, a little easier for sort of filmmakers and people wanting to jump into filmmaking. So it's got, Canon log in it. It's a full frame sensor. It's a 6K sensor there, so you can actually do output 6K RAW to it. So if you want to go to like a external RAW recorder, you can do a 6K RAW output with it.
Internally?
Yeah. Internally, we're doing 4K, 10-bit 422 up there. So very nice in AVC imagery. So you have your options. You have some codec options there, MP4 and AVC. If you want to do that.
What kind of media are we recording to? And
we got SD card slots there.
Okay.
We got 2 SD card slots.
We're able to do simultaneous record, your original record proxy?
Yep.
Nice, okay. And what about our inputs, HDMI, audio in, out?
Yeah, pretty typical in the mirrorless line there. You got, like a micro HDMI, you have the 1/8" stereo mic for the audio input, headphone jack on that. Uses the good old LP6 and battery there, so you can go no love. But yeah, very, kind of very comfortable in that mirrorless line of cameras that we've been putting out quite a few these days.
I'm not familiar with the previous R6, so what are some of the improvements that this has kind of versus the previous model?
Kind of the big thing is it improves the raw output. Is a big improvement to it there. The autofocus on this has actually been improved dramatically over the original R6. So that's a big one right there for both the stills and the video.
We got the R5C, which camera's not new, right? But we got a firmware update.
Yeah, so we have some firmware updates that we're talking about here a little bit. So again, R5C, we're showing it with an anamorphic lens on here. So 2 times anamorphic, it works because of that full frame sensor. But some of the things that we updated with the firmware first on is that the time when you switch back and forth between photo and video, we've dramatically cut down the amount of time it takes for the camera to boot into its new OS there for that. Before it was like, 8 seconds to go from video to photo, or like 6 seconds to go from photo to video. And now we've cut it down to like, 1.5 seconds. To go in either direction. So a big, huge jump. Makes it a lot easier for people who want to do both to jump back and forth now. We've added a new power saving mode to it. So one of the things with this camera has been it uses a lot of battery power on it. And since we're using the LPE6s on it, you can kind of go through batteries pretty quickly. When you're shooting in 4K and XFAVC with this, we've definitely done some power saving on it. So we can get some more time. We're seeing about like between 10 and 15 minutes more time shooting, which is really nice. So a little bit buffer there. Other things that we've done to it, kind of just some quality of life features. Now the on-screen waveform monitor, you have different sizes we can choose now. Before it was just like one small waveform. Now we can double the size of it. We have an option for it to cover the full screen. So kind of nice options there for that. Additionally, if people are using the 5.2mm fisheye, the double fisheye that gives you the 180 for VR, we now have the ability to punch in 8K. So before, when we were in 8K mode, we couldn't magnify. Right? So, and that was tough for people shooting VR. So now we have the ability to magnify in 8K. Additionally, we carried a feature over from the regular R5 into it, where if I am shooting in 8K with that lens, I can now push a button and jump back and forth between and zoom in on each lens. So it's kind of changing between left and right eye, which allows you to go in and get your critical focus for each lens in that kit there. So it's really, really huge quality of life features for VR shooters.
Nice.
Additionally, the software that we use for that lens that allows us to do the combination of the 2 lenses can now support 8K RAW up to 60 frames a second. So, yeah, big jump there.
Nice. Was there autofocus updates?
There was, yeah. So there was a kind of, we added an additional kind of algorithm into the autofocus now where for face detection. So before you would have to get the lock on the face and then you could turn away and then it would start tracking head, right? But now we've kind of expanded to where it can now capture head and then turn it to face as well. Okay. So it's not, you don't need to get that face first before it keeps that track on head. So
if you're kind of running a gun, someone's already like
like see somebody's back of the head, it's going to be able to go in and recognize that that's a head. Okay, I'm going to lock onto that and then keep it as the face comes into view. So
cool. Is that pretty much the highlights?
That's good. As the highlights here. Yeah. There's a lot of other big lists I can go on and on and on. Yeah, exactly.
All right, and another update. Right, what do we got here?
All right, so very cool. So we're introducing here our new Super 35mm flex zooms. So last summer we released the full frame flex zooms. There were two lenses, a 20-50 and a 45-135, and they were a T2.4 all the way through, like very fast lenses for full frame cinema lenses. So now we're introducing the Super 35mm versions of those. We got a 14-35 and a 31.5-95 at T1.7 all the way through for both of those lenses. So these cover the Super 35 sensor. The full frame ones obviously cover the full frame, but what makes them the flex zooms is that we can swap the relays out of them and so change them to the other one. So let's say I purchased the 20-50 full frame version of the lens, in last summer. Well, when this comes out, I'll be able to buy the relay portion of this lens, pull out the relay from my full frame one and put this in there, and then boom, I have the Super 35 T17 lens.
Okay, so if you have some of the previous lenses, you can get the relay and then kind of adapt them if you have a Super 35 camera want to shoot 30.
Exactly. Yeah, and on top of that, these Super 35 versions are also swappable back over to the full frame as well. So it's all about swapping those relays in and out. I can have
flexible.
Exactly.
Got it. And so then is that kind of sold separately, or you can buy the relay separately?
Yeah. So there's a relay kit that will come, and it's going to be sold once this comes out. We'll be able to buy the Super 35 relay kit. Because the full frame ones already have their relays inside there. But you also, if you buy the Super 35 lenses, you also be able to buy the full frame relays as well if you want.
Okay, and I'm guessing just to make sure, like one relay kit would work with any of the lenses.
Yeah, so it's kind of like lens specific. So let's say I have the two lenses are kind of the wide and then the telephoto. So if I have the 20-50 full frame, I will need to buy the relay that will make it the 14-35 Super 35.
Okay.
I would not be able to put like the telephoto relay into my wide.
Okay, so then there's a couple different kinds of relays that you
there's two each. Yep.
Okay, so, got it. And then do you know pricing?
Yeah, so the flex zooms come in about 22,000 per lens. The relays are going to come out at about 4,000.
Okay.
So, kind of a nice savings there. I can buy one of the lenses there, 22,000, and then instead of having to buy a whole nother lens for full frame or vice versa, I could just buy that kit. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for the updates.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely.
Thanks for watching the video. For more of our NAB coverage, be sure to check out the playlist right here and hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next episode.